What's up, guys? S2H back in action once again with the first live and in-person game review I've done in ages on this channel, and I'm very happy to do it for you guys. I'm very excited to get into this game because it was a barn burner. And if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan, besides the injuries that happened in this game for the Habs, you took away a lot of positives from this game. The Montreal Canadiens are now first in the North Division. They've yet to lose in regulation. All the players you want to see score are scoring. Overall, the goaltending hasn't been as good as you want it to be, but there's a lot of positives to take away from this game if you're a Montreal Canadiens fan. If you're a Vancouver Canucks fan on the other end, even in the last game that they won, there's a lot of things that should worry you if you are a Canucks fan. There's a ton of defensive lapses. They aren't getting enough rubber on net. They aren't getting enough traffic in front of the goalies that they're facing, and just overall, they just don't look like they have to fight. Some of the teams in this division have, and their star player, their main star player, Elias Pettersson, has yet to score a point in the season. So there's a lot of things that should worry you if you're a Vancouver Canucks fan, and especially the fact they lost this game the way they did. After a very competitive first period, it was an absolute offensive explosion by the Habs in the second period, and by that point, going into the third period, unless you are holding on and hoping for a miracle, you knew this game was over. But anyways, let's talk about it. Two things I need to talk about, two big cons for the Montreal Canadiens. Let's get the negatives out of the way right away. Yoel Armia is out on concussion protocol. That dirty hit from Tyler Myers late in the game where he got him in the head with the shoulder, that took Yoel Armia out. He's on concussion protocol, so we're probably not going to see Yoel Armia for a couple of games at the very least. Paul Byron, I'm pretty sure, is day-to-day. He's getting his foot checked after he took a slap shot from Shea Weber in the skate. So let's hope it works out for Paul Byron. This guy was playing pretty good so far this season, showing a lot of things that I like from him as a depth player. And he's dealt with a lot of injury woes in the past. So I'm wishing Paul Byron all the best, and I'm hoping he can recover from this quick. I want to see him in the lineup as soon as possible, especially for the amount of money he gets paid. He needs to contribute to the Montreal Canadiens. He's one of the higher paid depth players for sure. But anyways, let's get into the scoring. And who else would open up the scoring for the Montreal Canadiens? The Vancouver Canucks ex-girlfriend, the guy who has 5 goals in the last 2 games against the Canucks, the guy who has scored his most career goals in the NHL against the Vancouver Canucks. That's the team he has the most goals against. Tyler Toffoli, 154 into the first period. There's a big crowd in front of the net. I believe it's Armia, Kakaniemi, Toffoli are pretty much just outside Thatcher Demko's crease. There's a Vancouver Canuck there as well. There's another Vancouver Canuck coming in. Toffoli manages to find it in the crowd, shoots it in. There's no way Thatcher Demko saw that puck. Shoots it in, manages to get it on net, and of course opens the scoring for the Montreal Canadiens, continuing his hot streak from last game where he had a hat trick. Then we go into the second goal, and the other hot player on the other end, the one who was carrying the offense for the Vancouver Canucks in these past 2 games for sure, has been the best player for the Vancouver Canucks in these past 2 games, 100%. Bo Horvat has looked awesome, and the hockey guy made a point earlier today when he said they look like they're wasting Bo. It looks like they're wasting Bo Horvat. I'm pretty sure it was the hockey guy who said it. Maybe it was somebody else who said it, but somebody said at this point, with everything Bo Horvat's doing and the fact the team isn't performing around him the way he wants them to do, it just looks like they're wasting a lot of good things from Bo Horvat. There could be so much more from this guy if they could get other players going around him, because he's already looks good as it is. But anyways, Horvat scores at 320, assisted from a very good-looking rookie, Hoglander, and Myers, who was dirty in this game. He took 4 penalties total. 1 was a major, 3 were interference calls, but he did put up some points in this game, and he had an assist on that play. So it's 1-1 at that point. Then 5:27 into the first period. The third line is heating up once again, but this time they're on the penalty kill together. Tyler Toffoli and Yoel Armia end up getting it together. Tyler Toffoli causes a turnover that leads to a Yoel Armia shorthanded goal, and it wouldn't be the first shorthanded goal for the Habs in this game. So that's the Habs' first shorthanded goal. It's 2-1 for the Montreal Canadiens at the 5:27 mark. And then 7:13 into the first period, a power play goal tying it up from Bo Horvat, assisted by the usual suspects for the Vancouver Canucks. We got Quinn Hughes and JT Miller with the assists. So those are the usual suspects right now. So far, the best players that I've seen for the Vancouver Canucks this season have been Quinn Hughes, Brock Besser, JT Miller since he's returned, and especially Bo Horvat. Bo Horvat looks awesome this season, but unfortunately, it couldn't help his team in this game because in the second period, it was all Montreal. And who opens up the scoring once again? 1:13, another shorthanded goal. Their second shorthanded goal in a row. Tyler Toffoli assisted from Yoel Armia this time. So instead of Armia getting the assist from Toffoli, this time it's Toffoli getting the assist from Armia. Armia gets the puck, causes a turnover, kicks it up to Toffoli. Toffoli comes in, makes no mistake, makes a beautiful move on Thatcher Demko and scores. Clean goal. and it's at that point it's 3-2 for the Montreal Canadiens, but this is when the scoring really opens up. Forgive me if I'm a little bit rusty on these game reviews, guys. I'm not as sharp as I used to be, so I'm getting my little pauses in between here, but I'm getting the hang of it. I'm getting back to it because this season I'm going to kill it with the Habs content. That's the plan. And if you haven't yet, hit that like button. If you want to subscribe, it's up to you, but let's get back into it because I'm noticing myself. I'm making these little lapses. But 14:56 at this point. This was my favorite goal of the game personally. Nick Suzuki gets a pass from Jonathan Drouin, comes in on a 2-on-1 with Josh Anderson, puts the puck on net with a backhand. The puck flies up in the air, comes down just below the crossbar because you want to make sure it's below the crossbar so it's not a hot stick. And Josh Anderson bats it out of the air just below the crossbar, putting it into the net, making it 4-2 for the Montreal Canadiens. At that point, it was all Habs. They had 3 goals in a minute and 34 seconds. Right after that, 15:05, only 9 seconds later, Jake Evans scores, assisted from Paul Byron and Turi Lehkonen. A nice little weird angle shot from Jake Evans where he just blasted by Thatcher Demko. And then 16:30, ending the second period for the Montreal Canadiens with a 4-goal lead at this point once they score this. Yoel Armia scores, assisted from Kotkaniemi. Then we go into the third period. The Canucks, they really didn't show much push. This was a good individual effort by Suter. Suter gets the puck, comes in, brings it in past the Habs blue line. He's coming 1-on-1 with Romanoff. He comes in, he makes a nice little move, a nice little toe drag move on Romanoff, completely steps by Romanoff and puts a backhander over Jake Allen's shoulder, who, thankfully, the Habs scored a lot of goals in this game because as bad as Thatcher Demko played, Jake Allen played even worse on the Montreal Canadiens end, as far as the save percentage indicates. But he put a nice backhander over Jake Allen's shoulder. It was kind of a weak backhander. There wasn't a ton on it. A lot of goalies would have had that, but you're not going to foul Jake Evans. It's not a huge deal at this point. Jake Allen, excuse me. They pretty much have this game in the bag. And that goal was assisted by, once again, Tyler Myers and Rafferty. And then 18:55, the last goal of the game. This comes off a dirty hit from Tyler Myers where Yoel Armia had to leave the game and ended up being a 5-minute major. The Habs get a power play out of that, and of course, Ben Sherratt makes him pay for it. Ben Sherratt scores his first goal of the season, assisted by Jeff Petrie and Thomas Tatar. So Jeff Petrie and Tatar keep their game streak going. I believe that Jeff Petrie has a point in every game so far this season. So a valiant effort by the Montreal Canadiens, an awesome win by the Habs, and they pretty much destroy the Vancouver Canucks after the second period. It was like I said, it was a close game going into the second period, but by the time the second period ended, there was no doubt who was going to win this game. One team was completely dejected, and one team was riding high, and they continued that high in the third period, and they won the game. And I don't fault the Habs for not taking their foot off the pedal in the third period. How many times did we see this team blow a big lead last year? They blew 3-goal leads last year. They blew 4-goal leads last year. They lost so many times by 1 goal before getting into overtime to get the points. So I do not in any way fault the Montreal Canadiens for not taking their foot off the pedal at the end of that period. The 3 stars of this game, without a doubt, Yoel Armia was the first star of the game. He had 2 goals, 2 assists, 4 points for Yoel Armia in this game. I believe that ties a career high for him. We have Bo Horvat, who had 2 goals. And strangely, Bo Horvat was the second star over Tyler Toffoli, who had 2 goals and an assist, continuing his hot streak. And one of his goals was a shorthanded goal. So that's kind of weird right there, but whatever. I'm not going to complain about that. Neither one of the goalies played well. Jake Allen stopped 14 of 17 shots. He had an .824 save percentage. And like I said, Thatcher Demko, as bad as his game was, he still had a better save percentage than Jake Allen. He stopped 35 of 42 shots and had an .833 save percentage. Montreal had 42 shots. They dominated the shot total. Vancouver had 17 shots. So that's something, if I was their coach, if I was their fans, I would be really worried about that. In today's NHL, you are not going to, I don't care how good of players you have, how quality of shots you're getting, you are not going to win many games if you're getting below 20 shots in a game. That's just how it is in today's league. The hits were surprisingly more for Vancouver than Montreal, but Vancouver took a lot of penalties in this game, especially at the end of the game. Montreal had 17 hits. Vancouver had 24 hits. The face-offs, the Habs cleaned it up recently in the face-offs. They had more face-off wins in the last game. But the game before that, they had a terrible face-off percentage. So the last 2 games against the Canucks, they've cleaned up the face-off percentage for sure. They won 32 of 63 face-offs. So the Canucks won 31 face-offs. Their power play, they definitely need to pick up their power play after this game. Their power play only went 1 for 9, so imagine if the power play had to be clicking as well as those shorthanded goals. This game could have been a 10-2 blowout for sure. And the power play for Vancouver, they also only had 1 power play goal, but it was on 5 attempts. They had a 20% power play, so not horrible on Vancouver's end. The Habs, I had to write down, had 2 shorthanded goals, which I already mentioned. Montreal had 12 penalty minutes, and Vancouver had 26 penalty minutes. So there you go, guys. The Habs absolutely dominate this game. They're first in the North Division. I believe their next game is Saturday night against the Vancouver Canucks. We'll see how this game goes. Game one was super close, back and forth, but that was more so because Carey Price wasn't on his game at all. Look at his save percentage in that game. Look at some of the goals the Canucks scored, and the Montreal took a ton of penalties, giving the Canucks those opportunities. They had 3 power play goals in the first game against the Habs this season. So if the Habs can stay out of the box, they can keep it 5-on-5, and they can play like they've been playing in the last 2 games. It should be dominance once again for the Montreal Canadiens, and they should keep their first spot in the North Division. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think. I hope you guys enjoyed the review, you guys and girls, you folks, whoever's watching this video. Enjoy this review, and if you can, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Let's continue the growth on this channel, and keep your eyes out for more hockey content. This is Open Ice Hits with Scotty2Hockey. My first review in months, and hopefully I nailed it. Over and out, baby. Go Habs, go.